Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We are live, and I'm joined by Chris from the Red Men TV. Great to have you on, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Mark, to be honest with you. Yourself?
Yeah, well, I think we were just talking there. I think everyone's struggling, but not struggling, if that makes sense. You sort of know it's a difficult situation, but you also know there's people in a lot worse position than yourselves.
Absolutely, mate. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, for me, it's about like trying to do what you do without football. You're in the same boat there, whilst also trying to raise two kids because my wife works for the NHS and is in work 5 days a week. So yeah, adjustment period. I really miss football. I really miss just watching lads kick a ball around a piece of grass into a net. That's what I'm here for. That's what I love. And you know, the worst thing for me, Mark, is I hate everything else around football. Like I really like. I don't enjoy Twitter. I hate transfer rumours, and I just love watching football and talking about football. You know, that's that. And so to take that out, I'm just left with all the bits of the dinner that I don't like.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, fortunately, I do like transfer stuff, but I know you're not lying because I've seen all your tactical stuff that you do, both on the website and on the site. So yeah, it's everybody looks at it differently. We're going to talk about that. We're obviously going to talk about the Liverpool situation. There's the Premier League meeting today. Who knows where that's going to go? We'll get into that. But topically, just going to start off, and I can actually bring Chris into this because there's a story coming out of the Manchester Evening News in the last couple of hours about Dembele. He's 23-year-old, formerly at Fulham, then Celtic, then Lyon, scoring a lot of goals for Lyon. Manchester Evening News basically saying that Dembele has, I don't know where this is coming from, it's coming from a source, I presume, that he'd find it hard to resist Manchester United if they approached him. And that is a big if, because although we've considered it, there is no contact with that player at the moment. Unlike Timo Werner last night, where we were talking about Timo Werner is definitely under consideration for Manchester United. I mean, what I would say about Dembele is, I said a couple of weeks ago, I think he's probably the most logical player that United will look at. But this article is not saying we're looking at him. It's more about him wanting to come to us. I certainly wouldn't mind him. I'd probably take him over Igalo because he's a little bit younger. And I think he's got more sort of growth in him in a growing team. But I think it's probably more about him fancying a move to United than him fancying a move to us. I don't know what you know about Dembele, Chris, but I know Timo Werner is a player that's been heavily linked with you. I think it was DiMarzio on Tuesday was saying that he can't see that. He thinks Werner will go, but he can't see him going to Liverpool because of the players that Liverpool have already got. But surely Werner, might not start, but it's that quality of player. You don't get many injuries in your front three, so having a player like that, I like him. I would love him at United, but I always sort of stand back a bit and go, I like Werner, but he's probably going to Liverpool.
And it's always felt like that as well. It felt like a player that, we've got our eyes on and have had our eyes on for a long time. Recently he's been bending over and lifting his skirt up and asking us to come inside. By the looks of things, he wants us that much. He's come out and talked about Liverpool in media over in Germany. We've seen videos of him coming out and talking about how much he wants to play for Liverpool, how he thinks they're the best club side in the world at the moment. This was obviously a few months ago when football was still a thing. So yeah, I think, I'd like Werner to play for Liverpool. He can play across all three of the front spots. He's highly versatile. If you change to a 4-2-3-1, he could probably play a little bit of 10 as well. And he's got a goal record. I mean, it's stepped up considerably. He's at the right age for what Liverpool's director of football, Michael Edwards, wants to sort of buy at. And you've got to consider as well, Liverpool, their front three are all around the same age. They're about 27, 28 years old. In a couple of years' time, is it best to get someone in young now for a price and be able to say to them, look, lads, you're going to sit there and you're going to be a squad player for a couple of years, but a couple of years' time, you'll be the front man at Liverpool Football Club. Will he want to do that? That's the big question mark. Rumours are, if Liverpool were to go for him, and the rumours I've heard anywhere between 25 million and 52 million pounds for his release clause, Mark, then he's going to want some kind of guarantee over playing time. And it's whether Liverpool and Jurgen will be able to do that, or whether he buys into the project and goes, you know what, this is a side that's going places. They're at a very high level right now, and I can win trophies. And if he decides that that's the right place for him, I think he'll end up at Liverpool. And not to say that that's not a bad, and not to say that that's, to do anything other is bad. He might decide, I want to go and be a main man in a side right now. And that's equally just as good as saying, I'll be a squad player and get a few trophies and then I'll work my way there. It's up to the player then, isn't it? What type of player he is and where he is in his career. He's 23 or something, isn't he? So he's got time to develop still.
Yeah, I remember him doing an article. It must have been around the time they were playing Spurs in the Champions League, and he reminded me of one of my mates that when he's at the bar and you say, "What do you want?" You've got your opportunity, and instead of just saying, "Yeah, get me a pint of lager," you go, "Well, I like a pint of lager, but you know what? I quite like cider as well. On a certain occasion, that's quite a nice thing." And you know what? I'm quite partial to a pint of Guinness. And you're like, I remember his article, and he was like, you know what? I could stay at RB Leipzig and I'm really happy here and we're building something. But then I look at Manchester United and, you know, they're a big club that's not doing well at the moment. And you could be part of a project to make them good. But then you've got Liverpool, that a team already doing good. And you could just go and you thought, yeah, you've made 3 valid points without not whilst just making yourself open to every single fan base and making everybody happy. So who knows what Werner's going to do? But I do agree with you on that. And and just for everybody's joining, we're talking about Dembele saying he find it hard to resist United, but we also know United probably are looking at Werner as well. I think with Dembele, the same thing as you with Werner. Dembele, for me, I don't think he's better than Martial, and he's an out-and-out striker. So you'd spend money on a player that's not going to come in. Whereas for us, I think Werner, he would be a player that could push a Rashford out the team or a Martial out the team. Whereas for you, he is probably, well, he's not going to push out any of your front three. So it's all about his mentality, really.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think Firmino's the one when you look at statistics that he'd push out. But I think, as you know, and as you're alluding to there, Mark, I just think he's too big of a cog in this machine. Firmino, he's so important to how that front three plays and dovetails off each other. That it would take a long time for Timo to come in and be able to slot into that. You know, there's lots of, we talk about passages of play a lot on Red Men about how Liverpool use these passages of play and alternating vertical runs and horizontal and how they find space and stuff. It'd take ages for Werner to come in and be one of the front three. Although right now he's doing that at RB Leipzig. Obviously he had a decent little thing with Naby Keita as well. Would that be something that actually helps us to sign him? Would it be something to help us get the best out of Naby Keita as well? But it all depends on price, Mark. And for me, I don't know. I don't think that Liverpool will spend now that you don't know what's going on with COVID-19, to be honest with you. I genuinely believe that Liverpool will look around and go, let's see what the market turns into, because £52 million release clause, as rumoured, looked really, really cheap 6 weeks ago. It could be really expensive in 6 weeks' time. And that's what all these teams are having to do now. And there are only going to be a few teams who are able to spend regardless at the level that they were at. I think Manchester United are probably one of them. Liverpool probably could, but won't. Because we didn't really spend that much last summer. I think Liverpool wait, see what the market develops into, and then try, because we've got a good side. And if it's a short break with our squad, we're probably in a good position for next season.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, I was going to, Zane was just talking about, and thanks for the super chats for the people who've done them, talking about Liverpool and Sancho. We'll talk about that. But it's more important, I think, to grasp the Liverpool financial situation, because I think you're right there. I think United and Chelsea, I don't really want to include Arsenal in that, because I think they're miles away, and I know they've got money problems, but United and Chelsea probably do have money. They've got the gap to close on Man City and Liverpool, and maybe Man City are going to spend money because we know they've got money. But from Liverpool's point of view, you don't have to go and spend money in an uncertain market, because you have got a Champions League winning side, potentially a Premier League winning side, depth in a lot of the area, some young players coming through. So you are in that position of relative comfort. Saw Jadon Sancho sort of giving the eyes, literally on an emoji eyes, to Trent Alexander-Arnold last night about him coming to Liverpool. I don't, and I'm not saying this from a banter point of view, I don't see Liverpool going for Sancho, because where does he get in the team? And you're spending, if you spend £100 million on Sancho, you've got to put him in the team, haven't you? And he's not even in, he can't play where Firmino plays. So you've got to drop Mane or Salah and spend £100 million. That, to me, ends the conversation, whether you want him or not. And then you've got to consider the money.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, if it's Football Manager and I'm in charge and it's not my money, I would probably be dead cutthroat and go, you know what, Mo Salah's 28. We can probably get 200 million from Real Madrid. We'll ship him out there. We'll get Jadon in for 100. We'll make £100 million profit. But are Liverpool a better side? No. Does it matter No, because it's a computer game that I'm playing. And is Mo Salah one of the top 5 players in the world? Yes. Is Jadon Sancho? No. So that's a ridiculous thing for me to do. And I've heard loads of Liverpool fans say, and I've said it myself, if there's one of them, you probably move on. Now might be the time to capitalise. We don't have to capitalise on Mo Salah right now. Capitalising on Mo Salah is keeping him in the team and letting him score 20 to 30 goals a season while we win trophies. That's capitalising. That's how you win trophies. Manchester United have done it for years, haven't they? Over the Premier League years, they've kept players and they've bought players who are maybe considered a little bit old, Robin van Persie, just to win them leagues. That's capitalising, not making some money and shoving it in the bank, although Manchester United owners have done that over the last few years as well. Jadon doesn't make us a better first 11. He massively improves the squad. Would he come over to Liverpool to sit on the bench behind Mo for 2 years? Probably not. Does him being slightly less versatile than Werner and double the price mean that I think Werner's a much better option? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's interesting about that, because I think the one thing that stands out to me about Sancho is that he was a teenager at Man City, like Phil Foden, but he went to Dortmund to grow his career, where he could have sat on the bench and earned money like Foden. And he's now one of the best young players in the world. His next move, why would you do that? Why would you go to? I think he'd like to go to Liverpool. I think he'd love to go to United as well, and probably will. But I said this morning. I don't think there's an absolute I've got to go to United because I love United. I think it's about I want to go to United because it's a great club, and there's a right wing position right there for me there. I think it would be the same at Liverpool if that position was there. So I just don't think he's the personality that would go, oh right, I've got a good money, I'm going to go into a really talented, a successful squad with a great manager, but I'm going to be sat on the bench like Shaqiri. I don't think he would want to do that. I think he would look at maybe, I might go and play for Liverpool in 5 years' time when I'd go straight into the team. So I mean, never say never, but I'd be very surprised if Liverpool entered the race.
I really don't see us entertaining a £100 million player. I did at the start of the season before all of this. I just do not see us entertaining that. There's only one club in England that I do think will spend big, and that is Manchester United, to be honest with you. And I don't think they care. I think they see this as an opportunity that if other teams like Liverpool aren't going to be spending money, then that's the time where they can steal a march, because it's sort of small increments when you're chasing the leading pack, and trust me, I know. And sometimes you never get there. Is that like sometimes you can get a slightly better transfer window, but then they get the next better transfer window. But if everybody's not doing anything, then you've got an opportunity to close that gap. I think Manchester United roll the dice and go for it, because what's the point in staying where you are? You know what I mean? Your squad's not good enough.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I remember saying this under Mourinho. Mourinho, and I think Mourinho said it, to be fair. And look, he did get some bits right. He got the masses wrong, but he was like, if I buy 2 players in the summer and City buy 2 players in the summer and Liverpool buy 2 players in the summer, we're a better team, but they're still, I've got to buy 5 and they've got to buy 2 to start closing the gap. And those 5 have got to do well. And you're right. This horrible situation we're in will be a real reflection on Manchester United's ownership. They're saying the right things, but if Liverpool don't spend anything because they're like, look, we're in a good position, we don't need to take any risks, and Man City don't, and Spurs don't, but United do, it is an opportunity to go and make yourself a little bit stronger. But I don't know. I mean, look, we're going to get into this now. What I often say to United fans is, because some of them quite, I get it. I totally get it. Look, I always think a bit of humour, a bit of banter in any situation. I've been at funerals and someone's cracked a joke and it's just broken the ice. So look, we're in a horrible, horrible situation, but sometimes a bit of fun, a bit of banter, that's what we're here for as well. They want the league to be cancelled so you don't win the league, and I get that. And I can see that. I can see that in certain situations. I can see that. But what I've also said is, if you cancel the league, you're not signing Jadon Sancho, because the money that everybody loses will decimate the Premier League so much. And also, I don't think that if you cancel the league in June, you're going to start again in September, because I don't see the risk levels changing. You might have more of an insight anyway because of what your wife does. I mean, she works in the NHS, or you might have a different insight because of a Liverpool fan. Where do you stand on this at the moment? We've got the Premier League meeting today. I've always felt that we were coming back, but I've got to be honest with the French league thing and the Dutch league and the way it's now becoming a very, very big political football. Every day I'm looking and I'm seeing people saying it's a disgrace. You can't bring it back. And what frustrates me about that is it's just political. It's like vote for this, vote for no football, vote for football coming back. You've got to have a conversation. And also, the people who are saying don't bring it back, they never say what their solution is then. So are we not bringing it back till we've got a vaccine in a year's time? I mean, it's just, you can't bring it back. Where do you stand at the moment, Chris?
Well, I think first and foremost, obviously it's got to be safe to come back. And I think everybody recognises that. I just want to reiterate for myself, Mark, that, there are bigger things right now than football, but I love talking about football, and that's not me pushing everything else to the side. I want to know what's going to happen to a sport that I love. I don't see it any different from someone talking about a TV programme they watched last night. So anyone who comes at me and says, you can't talk about football in a time like this, stop talking about Coronation Street, then, or stop talking about the fucking news if we're not allowed to talk about things that aren't the NHS. But for me, I think, it's massively important that we do get football back. I've said it from the word go, and I've seen the point repeated now considerably. I don't see the point in cancelling a season or preferencing a season that hasn't started over one that's 75% complete. And you might say that's because I'm a Liverpool fan, and you might be right. You really might. It's very difficult to take those red tinted glasses off at times. But as a fan of other sports, competition is the most important thing when you're watching sports, and the integrity of the sport. And unfortunately, in our sport, bloody capitalism reigns supreme, and it's the worst type of capitalism known to man that's running the Premier League, and they will not want money to go out of the Premier League. They will not want money. So from the word go, I've thought, when it's safe to do so, they'll find a way to make money off of this. And if that's TV and a bloody World Cup of Premier League football with everybody in the world tuning in because there's no other sports going on, that's what the Premier League will do, because that's what it's consistently done since it started. It's taken as much money as physically possible, and it's passed it on to its football clubs and its football players, and not enough to the rest of the leagues. So that's what will happen. I don't think that there is any chance that the Premier League clubs will want to just give up on potential takings. They're already going to have to give up. It's going to have to be played behind closed doors if it does indeed come back. They're going to have to give up on that, but they'll make that on TV for somehow. I don't know how, but they will, Mark. And it pains me to say that the people who run the sport that we love are greedy bastards, but they are, and money comes first to them, and they'll try and get as much money out of this as possible, and that means finishing the season.
It's interesting. There's a few things I want to delve into in this, because I think it's quite deep, and a lot of people already, I can see the comments are going up. But it's interesting because I think you're right. I think the people who want football back aren't doing it because of why the Premier League want it back. It's not because of money. It's about a sport that we love. It's about competition. It's about normality. It's about our passion for decades. I've been watching football since I was a little kid, and now I'm being told I'm selfish because I want it to come back. My football coach, I've said this so many times, my football coach died of this disease 3 weeks ago. It's my best mate's dad. So I'm fully aware of what's going on, and I would do anything to change that. But I also know he would want the football back because he loved football. So, it's nothing. I think everyone quite rightly talks about the death and the risk. But when you talk about the competitive element first, I don't dislike basketball. I've just never watched it. But on Netflix, I've watched this Last Dance thing with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. I don't know anything about. I don't follow basketball, so I don't know the scores. I don't know the story. And I'm watching it there last night, getting another beer to watch episode 2, because I'm like, this is brilliant, because I'm getting the story of something I don't even know the story of. So it's absolutely brilliant. And this is it. It doesn't have to be football. It could be Formula One, anything. I like a lot of sport. And if snooker came back, I love snooker, I'd bloody watch it. So it's not about specifically football for me. But what people also talk about is that, you've got Sergio Aguero saying that a lot of players are scared about coming back. I said this morning, you know what? I even quoted Sky Sports thing. I felt a bit bad because I got a bit of shit, but I don't care. And I said, it's not breaking news. A millionaire player coming towards the end of his career who's got nothing to play for says he's scared about coming back. It's not news unless it's Jordan Henderson or it's Van Dijk or it's Jamie Vardy. It's not news until it's a player that this voiding actually impacts. And I think if Van Dijk came out and said, look, I'm scared about coming back, I'm scared about my family, I'd go, that's bloody news, because he's got something to lose. And I think that's the thing. We're getting these headlines from people who ultimately it's hard for me to understand. Well, it's not hard to understand. It's hard to add weight to it because I think too much of this is political. I think too much of it is about you not getting a title.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, look, from a scare point of view, you can't ever say whether somebody is or isn't, but you don't understand, as you're saying, what's got them there in the first place. Is it because he's coming to the end of the career, or is he genuinely scared for his family that might live with him and stuff like that? I think something's going to have to be put in place. I said all along, I believe when it does come back, players, coaching staff, looking chefs, cooks, whatever they are, cleaners, they're all going to get quarantined together in a hotel for 2 weeks, and then they're going to know that they're safe, and then they're going to all stay together until the season finishes, maybe. And like that, so it is going to be more like a World Cup where you go with your wags and everybody lives in the same hotel and all that type of stuff. That might put somebody's mind at ease, that you're then not putting your family at risk. Because I think, and I hate to say this, and I don't mean to pick on Sergio Aguero, but he's the person who's talking about it, Mark. It's the fact that, what about the other people, like, who are genuinely, on the front line, who've gone for, and not to say that he's not allowed to be scared, but goodness me, I know people that have gone in and working in hospitals that are scared, and yet they're going each and every day, and they're really putting themselves at risk, going and playing football. I mean, yes, you're getting within the social distancing measures and stuff, but come on. It's not like you're working in the A&E, you know what I mean? And that's not to say that he shouldn't be scared, because I think he should be for his family. And I probably would be scared for my family as well. But come on, if it's done safely.
What we're having here is a debate. And what I don't like about this is that we're saying stuff, and I can see the live comments going off. And I've purposely put Zed Jamie's thing there because he says Aguero is a human being and has a family. Don't forget that. And he's got a right to be scared. See, this is it. I'm not saying play football. Let's not care about the risk. I'm not like certain people with their blue tick saying cancel it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we all need to come together and find a solution, because I think at the moment it's either vote this, vote that. And what I would say is, I know somebody who works at Aldi. He's not an NHS worker. He works at Aldi. He probably doesn't get paid that much. And 5 days a week, he stood there in front of people, and he's got a bit of a mask and everything, but he's got hundreds of people going past him every day. And he works at Aldi. He can say to his boss, I'm scared, I'm not going to work, and he doesn't go to work. But Aldi doesn't shut down, and Aldi still needs someone to work there. So that's what I'm saying. Because somebody's scared about it doesn't mean that we all have to say, well, he's scared, let's not do football. And I think that's probably what I didn't put across as well as I wanted to, is that if he's scared, he doesn't have to play. And somebody said to me, well, yeah, you're all right. You're sat at home watching the match. Mate, you give me the number 9 shirt at Man United, I'll go and play behind closed doors like loads of people will. So don't tell me, oh, I'm just having an opinion on somebody who's going to put themselves at risk. I would go and play tomorrow for Manchester United. If they want me to do it because a certain player doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. I'll be absolutely shite, but I would go and do it. So look, everybody's got an opinion. And I don't think me or Chris or anybody's saying that Aguero isn't right to say that, because if he's scared, he's scared. But that's one person's opinion. You get me a Liverpool player come out and say it, and I will add more gravitas to it, because he's saying, I'm scared, I don't want to play, and I'm probably not going to win a Premier League title. It's not more of a story, but it's got more impact, because certain people, Rooney was saying the other week, I felt like a guinea pig. But will a 19-year-old footballer is he going to want to miss a whole year of his career? Everybody's got a different opinion on this. And that's why, for me, it shouldn't be poles apart, Chris. It should be, all these opinions need to not be politicised and sit down and talk.
Yeah, you're right. And this is the problem with football fans online, isn't it? And I think most of the time you pick a side and that's it. And there's never any debate, and there's never any convincing, no matter how good the argument is, because you've set this line in the sand and you've decided, because they're a fan of another football club, that you can't possibly go and join them because they're a fan of another football club. That's not like, for me, maybe at 17 I'd have acted like that, but nowadays, like, I'm so close to the middle on a lot of things, because I can tend to see it from both sides nowadays, whereas when I was young, I'd be like, no, that's ridiculous. How can you possibly say that? And now I'm like, oh, I can actually see it from their side a little bit, and I can see it from theirs. I do lean a little bit more this way and stuff. I just think, unfortunately, the powers that be, and the way that social media is, it's not healthy for something like this. Especially when we're all trapped inside. We've all got our own agendas, and I include myself in that, by the way, Mark. I'm not sitting here telling you that I can take the red tinted glasses off. I certainly can't. I want Liverpool to win the league, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I'm willing to wait for it, but I don't think football can wait 6 months or 12 months. A decision needs to be made, and we need to decide what's going on. Safety is paramount. But yeah, I like you. If Virgil van Dijk came out and said something, that would probably sway a lot of Liverpool fans' minds as well.
It would sway mine, and I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I would go same with it. But the thing is, we've had Agallo and we've had Bruno and other players saying they're really missing football. Can't wait to get back playing football. And I think if United started training tomorrow, they would. You've got people like Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho who've been training in Germany, and I know it's a slightly different situation, for over a month. So I don't care if football comes back in September and some footballers are scared. Well, I care about them being scared, but they don't want to play, but 75% of the team does want to play. Let's just go with the 75% we got. You can't cancel everything because 25% of players don't want to play, although they have got unions and that might happen. But another thing that sort of I find interesting as well is that, and I read everybody's opinion and I respect everybody's opinion, even if it's not my opinion, because who am I to say they're wrong? That's never been my thing. I'll just defend what I think's my opinion, and then we have a conversation on it. But I had somebody say to me today who's followed us for a long time, and he was like, you can't start playing football when the NHS are overworked and you're going to take their resources away. And I said to him, look, we're not meant to be playing football till June. That's 2 months ago. That's 7 weeks away. 6-7 weeks ago, people were down the pub, they were at Cheltenham, they were watching football. So a lot can change in 6 or 7 weeks. And I think a lot of people are probably judging it based on now, whereas we're talking about maybe June, maybe July, maybe September. But I think the most important thing is, how would you feel if they cancelled the league and then we're back starting a new one in September? I mean, look, as much as I don't like Liverpool and I don't want them to win a title, that to me is just bordering on. I've always said, if we come back at Christmas, we come back at Christmas. If we come back in a year, we come back in a year. But I don't see why we have to have this cut-off point for a league that we might end it. It's got 9 games left. We might end it, start a new one in September, and then have a second wave and have to stop that one as well. It defies logic, but it seems to be, and I'm really interested to see what your opinion is, because this seems to have been the story for the last 7 weeks about cancelling a league so we can start a new one in September.
It baffles me, and I said it at the top of the show, mate. I don't know why anyone would preference a season that hasn't started over one that's 75% complete. What does it do for football clubs? What does it do to season ticket holders? What's the ramifications of the television deals for football clubs? What's the ramification of contracts? Football's going to change after all of this, and that's where I find the real interest actually is. How does football change? But why? Why would you start a season in September when this one's not finished? Why don't you just finish it? Well, it must be money. There must be something in it that
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. Is it UEFA competitions? Are they going to be started? Not a chance until all the leagues are up and running. No way. You can't finish. I don't know how you finish this season's Champions League, for example. We're not even allowed to go out, never mind go to a different country. And, if we're 3 weeks behind Italy and someone's 3 weeks behind us, the Champions League might not start until the end of the year. Well, what the bloody hell is going to happen with that? So there's so many things that need to be taken into consideration. You get one chance at restarting football as well. You get one chance. If one player gets sick or one manager or one ground staff or whatever, that will be the league season done. So they have to do it very carefully. I actually most of the time I hate the Premier League as a an entity. I think they've dealt with it really well by being silent on the subject a lot this time, and they've actually got their arms around everybody. There hasn't been leaks from these meetings or anything like that. Everybody's done what they've been told, kept quiet, and the Premier League hasn't said anything until the peak's passed, I think. And hopefully the peak has passed now, and hopefully it will be safe to do so. I mean, on the amount like the NHS staff. And I've seen a couple of the comments on the screen that I can see. I know this, right? To have doctors and nurses and stuff do a Premier League game and police, that's a huge number that you're normally looking at a game. It wouldn't be the same if there was 50 people in a stadium. So, it might be one doctor and one this, but when you're looking after 50,000 or 60,000 or 70,000 people, you have to have a ton of them. And then you really are drawing from the NHS's things. And don't forget that you've actually got 9 leagues, 10, 12, whatever, maybe 9, 10 leagues up and down the country all running, and every other sport with all of their doctors and nurses and St. John's ambulance staff. We're talking about 20 teams, 10 games. We're not talking about the AFL. We're probably talking about 20 doctors and nurses. We're not talking about what we normally see of a weekend at a Premier League. And I think people are forgetting that as well.
Well, I think also, Gary Neville's an ex-player of ours. He seems to not want this to happen. And that might be with Gary, it could be many reasons. He's a great businessman. He does a lot for charity. He's an ex-Man United player as well. It might just be doesn't want Liverpool to win the league. He's also an owner or a big part of Salford, and they're in League 2. When we're having this chat, we're talking as United and Liverpool here. We're not. I cannot, for the reason you've said there, see how the Championship, League 1, League 2. I think that they've got to find a solution with that, because they ain't coming back. No, I just don't see how that comes back at all. I think it's about the Premier League now, and it's about something out of the box. Maybe we all go off to a country where you can play it. Maybe we all do a St. George's Park thing. Yeah, maybe we go to St. George's Park for 6 weeks and play it at Wembley, and do so. I think whatever happens is going to be extraordinary anyway. But what we saw, and Zed Jamie says here, opinions on PSG. PSG got handed the title. I'm not asking you whether you think that'll happen. How would you feel about? Is that a solution you're happy with? I mean, it's got to be better than voided. But would you rather wait till September to play it out, or would you take a title now and say let's start a new one?
I'd rather play it out. I want Liverpool to win it. I don't want there to be that bloody asterisk after it, Mark, to be honest, that everybody's been talking about. You'd probably end up seeing bloody fans walking around with shirts on with Liverpool 1920 asterisks on the back, and that would look terrible because those shirts look terrible.
I'm writing this down.
That would look atrocious because those shirts are terrible anyway, aren't they? So for me, it's finish it, but look, it's better than the alternative, I'll say that. Us getting handed the title. I think everybody knows that Liverpool deserved the title this season. Regardless, it's not going to be as fun as it would have been. I want to go out there and celebrate with other Liverpool fans. I wanted to do it at Anfield. I wanted the players to get the adulation that they deserved for the performances that they've put in for the last 2 years, never mind just this season. But that's not going to happen. They're not going to be in front of the Kop. There's not going to be a big homecoming like there should be if we are to win the league this season. But it's better than finishing 6th.
Do you? I mean, I wanted to ask this as well. Do you? How do I phrase this question? I suppose I'll just be blunt. How concerned are you that it could get voided? Is that something that, because I was joking on the show last night, I said, if I was a Liverpool fan, it would be something that would be on my mind every single day. Is it like that, or do you have faith in the fact that there will be? And I believe the only way is to finish it. I can't see how they would. I think the problem you've got with awarding you the title, like they've done in France, is that France had that rule in place already, but also you can't relegate Villa with a game in hand. You can't relegate Norwich 5 points away from safety. So how can you hand Liverpool a title? So realistically, I think we find a way to complete it or we cancel it. So how does that? Are you really concerned about that, or are you still like, I've got faith?
I'll be honest with you. I try not to think about it, Mark. I'm just going to wind myself up. I don't want. I was saying to you before, lots of Liverpool fans aren't thinking about football because all we're getting everywhere we turn is null and void, null and void, null and void, and all that banter type of stuff. And it's just boring. It's just like, until someone tells me what's happening, I'm probably not going to think about it. If I have to think about it, oh my days, if they voided this, it would just be the worst thing that's ever happened. I mean, you can't be so much better than everybody else and have the season voided. Like, we were joking about it in fucking January, Mark. We were like...
Even Klopp wasn't he? I remember him, yeah. Yeah,
we were joking about it. At one point, we said we're more likely to get a bloody asteroid hit us, because there was one due a couple of days ago in April that was going to fly by, and we were laughing about that. We were putting videos out going, oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Arteta gets it, and you go, oh my God, I hope he's all right. Oh, this is actually going to happen. Yeah. I really don't want to think about it, Mark.
Well, it is, because you know what? I think one of the positives from the lockdown is I think people, I mean, look, you wouldn't believe it on Twitter, but I think there's a lot more empathy. I think that people are a lot better with each other and I think we will take that out of this whole, well, it's not an experiment, is it? It's forced upon us. But I think empathy is something that people really have grasped, because there's been so much sorrow and pain towards people that we don't know, but we sympathise and feel that pain. So I think I look at United, and although I was not even born to experience some of it, I was very aware that we hadn't won a title for over 20 years when we did win a title. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, well, Liverpool haven't won a title for 30 years. And that's a little bit longer than it was for us. And there was an obsession with us. And if that first season where we won the title, we were going to win it, we've never been in that position, really, that you're in, where you're miles ahead. We've been miles ahead, but not to that extent. So you basically, it's your title, and it's your first title in years, and then this happens. And like I had Phil Brown was on yesterday, and some Liverpool fans were clipping it, saying, "Look at this vile United fan." And we were having this conversation, and he just started laughing, because it's like, if you don't laugh at it as a United fan, what are you supposed to do? Like, they've not won a title in years, and then this virus comes, and it's not even a close title; it's their title, and then this virus comes. I mean, yeah, I don't blame you trying not to think it, because it would be, you'd be like, we are everyone says you're the victims. Well, I think you would have to have a T-shirt saying that this time, because it would just be the biggest kick in the teeth, I think, in a footballing sense. I mean, look, lots of serious things have happened around United and Liverpool. We're talking football here, but it would be, and I think we can all laugh at it as United fans, but also when you get past the laughter, you look at it and goes, imagine if that was happening to us. It's not. It is a worry.
I mean, look, you think back to all the big things that have happened over the years in the Premier League, and one of the first ones was that rant by Kevin Keegan for Newcastle, wasn't it? I would love it rant about Alex Ferguson and stuff like that. I mean, that's still getting played today. In fact, I've got the headphones on for it now. I could quite easily.
I thought you were going to do that.
Just jump into
it.
Yeah, I would love it. You still got to go there and beat them, and blah blah blah. And then you've got like the Gerrard slip, Mark. I mean, it's 5 years, is it, since the Gerrard slip, and every team's still using it now.
It was the anniversary the other day, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 6 now, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So 6 years, is it? Yeah. Wow. And then so you've got that. I mean, and that's fed everybody for years, hasn't it? On Liverpool and us nearly getting a title. But this, what if this happened? Like, and it would be the only thing that could stop this football team, because nothing else could have stopped us this season. Just absolutely terrible, mate. And I really don't want to talk about it anymore, if I'm perfectly honest with you, Mark, because I'm feeling really uncomfortable, and that it might actually happen, and I don't want to think like that.
It's been an odd season, hasn't it? Because you were going to be invincible, then you were going to win a treble, then you were going to win a league.
Do you know what, mate? It all seems so long ago now. But then there's serious things about that Atletico Madrid game. Like, I don't know how much it is in the news and stuff, but that game shouldn't have gone ahead.
Yeah, you look about the Spain and Liverpool. I saw the map. I saw the graph yesterday, and Birmingham, which is where I live, we were always second to London, but I saw it yesterday. It's like Liverpool is quite far ahead as sort of second place, isn't it? For the thing.
I was talking a couple of weeks ago to people, and I know 10 people who went to that game who've got it. And there's a lot of people out there that genuinely don't know 10 people who've had it. For a start, Paul, who does the channel with me, got it. My wife bloody got it. I was ill before her, but never got tested. My wife got tested because she works in the NHS. She was down for 3 weeks. And I know loads. I think there was 11 or 12 people, I think it was, who went to that game, who came back with it. I was sat, and I don't know whether Manchester United have this, but where I was for that game, I was in the Upper Kenny Dalglish, and we were going there. It was a really strange atmosphere anyway, because we knew that it was a hotspot, Madrid, for COVID-19 in Europe, and they weren't allowed to go and watch their team in their own country. Yet 3,000 of them were allowed to come over, mingle with us on the streets of Liverpool, come through Manchester Airport. A lot of them will have done as well, maybe stayed in Manchester. And then come into Liverpool, stay here for a few days, go down the way end, and we were like, oh, we'll turn up late, we'll just go in, we'll support the team, we'll come out this time. And when I was in the Upper Kenny Dalglish, I looked over, the block next to me, 250 Madrid fans. And I'm like, what's that about? I said to the lad, I don't normally sit there. What's this about? I was at Overspill. They always do it on European nights, the big ones. So I was like, what? What do you mean? So there's 250 Madrid fans there using the same toilets, the same shops, the same things. It's one thing having them in a completely different, separated section, but then to have them in the ground with us and next to me, I was like, why is this game not ahead? And apparently Liverpool did say to somebody, they leaned on the government and said, you know, what are we going to be able to do here? And the government went, it's still safe to play the game. So Liverpool had to play the game, basically. I
think when
absolutely ridiculous.
I think when this all comes out, and I must admit, I'm not sympathetic of the government. People think I'm a Tory and everything like that. I can play right wing and left wing, and I have done throughout my life in relation to voting. I'm not a hardcore anything, but when this is over, I think there's going to be, and I think you're right, and I've heard you say that before. I think that will be something that is highlighted as a big issue that caused a lot of let's be blunt, death in and around the Liverpool and Manchester area probably as well. But what I would also say is it is unprecedented, and I think mistakes have been made. And the biggest mistake is, why the hell did the world not know about this as much as they did before it hit Italy, Spain, and everywhere? Because to me, it's illogical that we're now sat here in May going, you know, up to 80% of people might have no symptoms, which is why it's spread so widely. And yet we know where it started. And it was like, you know, like you say, Klopp was joking in a press conference in February. You know, we knew about this thing in January and early February, but it was not a big deal, apparently. It only kills about 0.5% of people. And, you know, I think it's absolutely blasted this country and other countries in Europe, and there will be mistakes that are going to get exposed later on down the line. And it's very, very sad.
You were talking, you're right, it is. And you were talking before about it being politicised. And that's also one of the things that, you know, although I want football to come back, let's make no mistake about it. The government's talking to the Premier League because it's good for them at the same time. Because if they can get the Premier League up and running, and I want it back, and I hate the government, and I am left wing and I'm not right wing, and I'll say that freely. So think of my opinion after this however you want. But the Tory government will be using that to take our minds off the shit that they've ended up in with us, or that they've ended up, you know, what we've ended up in because of their decisions or lack thereof. Look at this shining Premier League over here, everybody. Okay, 50 million people watching the football again. Brilliant. 600 deaths there.
I tell you what, though, Chris, that's the thing. I think in one way you're right, but now, because this doesn't obviously benefit Liverpool, but now it's not this look at the shiny Premier League thing, because there's a lot of people now saying, you know, as I said, there's a lot of people saying, oh, we shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't be doing it. So maybe they'll go, maybe we shouldn't bring that back, because there's people like Piers Morgan and everyone saying we shouldn't do it. And, you know, so you're right. I think you're right, but then it has the mood changing towards... Yeah. But I think ultimately, as a football, as we were saying at the start, if somebody said to me, you can have football back next week, first thing I'd say is it's safe, and it clearly wouldn't be in a week's time. But as soon as it becomes safe and doable, I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I want to watch football. And you know what? It doesn't have to be Premier League. If it's the Bundesliga, I'll watch that. I'll watch Serie A. If the Premier League decide they don't want to do it, you crack on. I'll watch the Bundesliga. I want it to be the Prem, but...
Mark, you've hit the nail on the head, though. Do you think the Premier League are there looking at that going, bloody hell, have you seen those viewing figures for the Bundesliga? Everyone in the world's watching the Bundesliga. They're going to steal a march on us here, boys. We need to get our house in order. We need to get on the telly. That, and again, it all comes back to money. The Bundesliga, you know, government's done it right over in Germany. They've tested properly. They've managed to get it to a level where they're safe to return to training, and it'll be coming back. And the Premier League will be watching that, and they'll be using that as a template for them to come back and steal a march on the other leagues and make sure that everybody's focused in on these storylines again, because that's what they're about. They're about money. And they ultimately will chase it, and they'll make they'll make it worthwhile, because the tax and everything else that the Premier League brings in and the television revenues that they bring in will help the government to keep on paying these furlough schemes and all that. It's a big thing that's been shut off at the moment. That valve's been closed. That valve needs to be opened again to get some more money back into the country at the same time.
Well, the Premier League as well. It is the number one league in the world, isn't it? And if you look at the Bundesliga at the moment, which I have been looking at, to be honest, because I knew it was coming back, it's quite an interesting league. It's not a bad league to sort of get into. You know, the playoffs, the title is still sort of up for grabs as well. And I said this probably at the end of March. I said the league that comes back first is onto a winner because everyone will want to watch it. And I tell you what, in that Premier League meeting today, I'd love to be a fly on the wall because for all the people might be talking about concerns and that, I guarantee they'll be saying this. If Bundesliga comes back, like you said, or La Liga or Serie A, and we don't, and we say we're not coming back till September like the French League, you watch what's going to happen. They're going to come back. They're going to get all the audience. They're going to get all the sponsorship. They're going to get all the money. We might not be able to come back in June, but we better make sure we can come back in July. We've got to do something. And Sergio Aguero saying he's scared and everything like that, we've got to respect that. But ultimately, is he going to get his 300 grand a week for 6 months if we ain't got any football? Maybe he's a bad example, but for all footballers will feel the pinch. You can't keep being paid 100 grand or 200 grand a week when there's no football. And like you've got Fabrizio Romano saying Barcelona are losing £5 million a day. You can't just keep chucking the wages at the players. So money will talk.
Yeah, you're right. And I said before, I think football will change. Contracts is one of those areas that changes. You know, at the moment, they're unable to be furloughed because there's nothing in that contract. It's not like a normal employment contract that works so much in the player's favour. It's been built together with agents. It's been with the PFA. It's been built with the football clubs. They're going to have some kind of break clause in these contracts from now on because the fact that they have to keep on paying these ridiculous salaries without money coming in is obviously massive. But the reason, you know, I think the PFA, the players, whatever it is, federation or whatever, didn't want to go down the route of players taking a percentage wage cut is because the top players in the Premier League are only one section of the players that they look after. You know, they look after all the other leagues. And as soon as you leave that Premier League and you're asking a League Two fella to take a 20% cut, it's completely different to asking Mesut Ozil, for example, to take that. But just a little hint, a little tip, sorry, for everybody, because this is something that I plan to do this weekend. If you are missing live sport, right, go back and watch something that you've never watched before. So, for example, I'm like you, I was watching The Last Dance on Netflix, and it got me thinking, I watch NFL, but I don't watch college football. So I'm just going to watch a season of college football. I'm going to watch a season of the F1 before I was born because they're putting like the classic races and stuff on YouTube. Or go and find a season of something and watch it as live because there's so many Bosch sports out there that we can go and enjoy. Like if you're missing footy like me that bad, go and find something to watch that you don't know. No spoilers. And I reckon you'll have fun doing that.
It is a great idea, and as I say, that Last Dance thing, I'm not a big fan of basketball, and you don't need to be because it's the story of sport, which I think is always great. And I like hockey, I like ice hockey, and there's loads of seasons, even recently, that I've not watched because you get for me, and you're probably the same, and everyone is probably the same. Football's people say, "What's your favourite sport other than football?" I'm like, you're joking? Like football's just how can you find another sport other than football? It's massive.
It's all encompassing. I mean, I've got an NFL or had an NFL YouTube channel because I do love the NFL and I actually watch more NFL than football, but on a scale of love, nah man, it's footy every day, you know, and it always will be. It's the best sport in the world. But right now there are other sports that we can go and watch at the same time. But that Last Dance is boss, Mark. Really, really good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only on episode 2. I mean, I love Mattelli, and there's lots of good dramas and stuff that I've got to catch up on. But also I do my FIFA. I get loads of people watching it. You're doing your Football Manager now as well, aren't you? I mean, it's just that whole not knowing the answer is what we're missing, really, isn't it? It's that whole, you know. I mean, I scored a goal against Real Madrid in a quarterfinal of the Champions League last night on FIFA. It's my career mode. It doesn't mean anything. But like the live comments were going mad, and I was celebrating it like probably more than I've celebrated a United goal this season because I was just like, it's a Champions League quarterfinal. But yeah, it is. You know, people say it's childish, but I've loved football since I was a kid, and it's never changed. I've not grown up as a football fan. It's still the same feelings as scoring down the park or, you know, watching Solskjaer score a winner in the European Cup final. It's all the same, and it is missed, but it has to come back in the right circumstances. And all I would say is, and I think that's what we've been doing for the last sort of 45 minutes, is I just don't like the whole cancel it or let's play it. Like, obviously we can't play it at the moment. How are we going to do it? If we're going to cancel it, what's the solution for cancelling it? Why are we cancelling it? When are we coming back? You know, I just think there needs to be some of this. And I think at the moment it's quite jazzy or cool to be, I'm saying this, he's a bullshitter. I'm saying this, I've got a blue tick, or I want this, I want it back for money. Like, you've got to, surely this is one thing we've learned over the last few weeks is this. I've been amazed and really, really pleased about the unity I see on my street at 8 o'clock with the clapping, the things that we've done, you know, the Nightingales in Birmingham and London. These have been these are the positive things, and these are not really. I know the government do it, but it's the people. It's people coming together in this crisis that has been a really positive thing. And I think let's not wander back to pre-lockdown where we're all very tribal and I think this and you're an idiot. You know, we've got to find a solution through this. And I don't think if they cancel it, Chris ain't happy. If we bring it back, some of you aren't happy. So let's find something in the middle. Let's find the solution, because as you were saying, Chris, I think whatever the solution is, it's going to be something we're not used to, and that's the mindset. It's going to be unprecedented, whatever it is.
I saw that BBC article saying that we're not going to get back into the stadiums until 2021. It doesn't surprise me in the least, you know, from what's been going on and from who I've been following on Twitter and all that. You know, it's not surprising that we're not going to get back until 2021, but it doesn't mean that football can't come back. And you're right, the empathy that people have shown, the togetherness, the community spirit that people have shown during this time has wowed me to some extent. And yeah, I think one of the problems that we've got and why we can't come together and why we can't talk is because there's this bloody 24-hour news cycle that needs filling each and every single day. And we're maybe part of the problem and we're maybe part of the solution. I don't know yet, and I don't think anybody knows. But it's very difficult to stop, take stock, and wait. That's one thing that we're not good at as football fans, I think, collectively. And really, no one really should have been talking about this. It should have been shut down, nothing said. 8 weeks. Right, okay, we're ready to talk now. Because in the meantime, what you have is just a load of people spouting absolute bullshit from both sides. And then they won't come together because they're so entrenched into their own positions. And they've heard that much over the 8 weeks that they don't want to go and talk and meet in the middle and debate about it. That's not the world that we live in, unfortunately.
Well, look, I really appreciate Chris coming on from Redmen TV, the biggest and best Liverpool fan channel out there. And we will see how this develops into the future. But really enjoyed it because it's like the things I like to do, really, is talk about something that's difficult and put opinion on it. And as I said, it's not Chris's opinion. It's not my opinion that matters. It's yours. But you know, if we wanted to play for likes, I'd look at what the general consensus is and just say that. And that's never going to solve anything. It's about throwing up different opinions and you creating your own. And hopefully that's what we've done. But thanks for coming on, Chris. Somebody did say, what NFL team do you support, actually?
Minnesota Vikings, randomly enough. So I started supporting them in about 98. We've not done anything, mate. I've basically picked one of the worst sides. One of the ones that will disappoint you over and over again. We've gone close, but that's about it.
And yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. I'm back at 8 o'clock tonight. I think I'm just going to do a Q&A or something tonight. So I'll probably have a beer or something. It's the end of the week. But thanks to Chris. We might get him back on in a couple of weeks. If they void the season, we'll have to try. We'll never come back on if they void the season. But
I want to shout at everybody.
He will then, yeah.
You'll be able to taste me tears as well if I come back on. I'm happy to come back on, Mark. I've enjoyed it, mate.
You see, you might have pulled some back to being empathetic now, but now you've said you're going to come on and cry. They'll all say void the league. So there you go.
Mark, what you should do is cancel your stream tonight, right? We're doing a live stream of Being Liverpool. Do you remember that documentary with Brendan Rodgers? We're doing a live rewatch along. I think you would wet yourself laughing. Obviously, don't cancel your stream because it's it's more important. But definitely check out the rewatch along because it's probably the worst football documentary you've ever seen, and Brendan Rodgers is the star of it.
I'll definitely watch it. So, have you got the rights to show it on the screen, or is it just going to be somebody? Is it like a watch?
Provide a link for people to maybe watch along with us.
All right, so yeah, you'll watch it a bit like I do the watch along with the match. They watch the match and then that's a good idea. No, I'll give definitely. I like these sort of things. A bit like Gogglebox, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit like Gogglebox, and Brendan Rodgers is very Gervais office in it. He's absolutely terrible. If you've not seen it, you'll wet yourself as a United fan thinking that this was Liverpool. And this is how
I genuinely haven't watched it because probably like you, I'd avoid any Liverpool content. But if it's something I can laugh at, yeah.
It was atrocious at the time. It's going to be even worse 6 years later. I mean, it was embarrassing as a Liverpool fan to see that was our football club. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it.
Well, there you go, everybody. You can check that out on Redmen TV. I'll see you later, and thanks for watching.